Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
I would recommend Angel Care to anybody. They have really helped me regain my strength.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible. Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
I couldn't have survived this without Angels Care.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to our Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks as always to our producer, Jeff Durall. We're in the family room, if you will, of the Robbins Center at Fort Hays State University, the Ed Steno Conference Room, visiting with Anita M. Landrum Award winner, Don Bickle of Hays. Anita Landrum Award for Homecoming 2015, providing sustained volunteer service for the betterment of the Alumni Association and Fort Hays State University. So we wanted to find out from Don about his connection with Fort Hays State, but we've got to go back before Fort Hays State to K-State. A K-State grad, huh, Don?
By all means, a Wildcat all the way.
Through and through.
Through and through.
And this was what time frame? What years we talking about here,
I
Don?
graduated in 1950.
Prior to that, you grew up in Hoisington, right?
I grew up in Hoisington, and I finished my junior year, and that was during World War II. And I quit high school and joined the Navy. So I only went to 3 years of high school. And my gunnery officer took a liking to me, and he called the superintendent of the school. He happened to be a full professor from Texas A&M, and asked what was necessary for me to graduate with my class. And they told him one course or the like, and he said, if I school him, will you let him graduate with his class? Now, I knew nothing about this, really.
He was doing this all behind your back then.
You know, he did. I didn't know until he told me. And I'd never really studied, but I guarantee you, I did.
He saw to it you did.
He didn't put a finger on me, he put a foot.
Okay, so he schooled you in the courses you need to get your high school diploma.
That is
so
correct.
Then you could make that transition to K-State.
That is correct. Now, I got out early because I promised him faithfully I would go to college.
How many years in the Navy did you serve, Don?
I just was a little over, well, less than 2 years the first go around.
On a ship?
Because, yes, I was on a USS Rendova. It was an aircraft carrier and the like, and I was just very fortunate to have a gunnery officer that liked me.
He literally took you under his wing.
He did. He really did. And so I, as I promised when I came back, the Fort Hays Experiment Station was tied in with K-State. And we did, from S&W Supply, we did a little business with the experiment station. And so Mrs. Wells, my aunt, kind of like my mother, made some arrangements for somebody to come in and talk to me. And before I knew what happened, I was being enrolled in Kansas State, which was, incidentally, was about the size then that Fort Hays is today.
And this would have been around 1950 or so.
1946.
46.
When
Graduated
I
in
started
50.
that, yes, I would have graduated. And, well, I graduated, just before, because I was with my own class at K-State.
What'd you major in?
Business administration.
Well, now that
and,
makes sense.
And I got a BS and BA, Bachelor of Science, Business Administration. They don't have that double degree anymore.
Did you ever keep in touch with that gunnery officer? Did you ever have any contact while you were in school to give him progress reports or anything?
Not really. Of course, I didn't know where he left. When he got out, of course, he went back
in civilian life.
Yes, in civilian life.
Okay, so after K-State then, how did you wind up in Hayes?
Well, I'd been here in the summers. I was around when this company, S&W Supply, was started. And actually it started in Downs, Kansas in about 1932. Claude Suter, that's the S, and Don Wells, that's the W. They married two Bickle sisters. And Mrs. Wells, actually Suter was running the company. He had his own little company in Downs. It was just a little wagon arrangements selling radiator hose and fan belts and things like that.
Basic auto parts, but just on a smaller scale than what the current S&W is.
And then he came to Hayes, and when he came to Hayes, he contacted Wells. And that's, so 1934 is actually when S&W started. However, the company, in a sense, started in 32.
And Mrs. Wells kind of adopted you, more or less, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She was just like a mother to me. I spent my summers up here for years.
Took some classes at Fort Hayes during the summer.
Yes, I went to Pickens. That I always tell everybody that was for slow learners.
Night classes primarily, right?
No, they were afternoon classes.
Oh, afternoon classes.
See, I was only about yay big. I wasn't. I was pretty young. I could have been around the fourth, fifth grade, somewhere.
Oh, okay.
That's when I started.
So you really have a long connection with S&W then. Were you working part-time?
I did. Even before I went into service, I'd come up here in the summers and would work. And then when I went into the service, of course, when I got out and went to K-State, my summers, I never had vacations. My summers was always working. And when I I graduated, like I say, in 50, and before Christmas, I listened to the guy at the discharge center. I stayed in the inactive reserves, be the last to ever be called. But before Christmas of 1950, I was back in the Korean War.
Called back into Korea's conflict.
I had spent a little time working, actually out of college, but my aunt wanted me to take a deferment, and that I wasn't going to do.
So still in the Navy in Korea?
Yes. Well, yes. Well, that's quite a story. We had a good state senator here, Alfred Harkness, and the governor then, he told him that I was going to get called back in, and they wrote me a letter of recommendation. It was in a leather binder, and the governor at that time was when he was in World War II, was a commander in the Navy, and he said, wherever you go, be sure that you show this to the commanding officer before you do anything. Well, I got to San Diego, and the chief said, let's get signed in. I said, I can't, Chief. I got to see the CO. You know, what the hell? I'd like to see the President of the United States of America.
I bet that
too.
went over big, didn't it?
And I said, well, and I handed him that deal. And in the Jeep, we headed over.
Wow.
And, you know, I was supposed to end up getting the commission. Well, it just so happened that the chief never forgot our little back and forth. From an aircraft carrier, this time I was assigned to an LST. That's the landing ship. You know, the front end goes down, the tanks come out, stuff like
A lot smaller and a lot more vulnerable.
that. Very much.
And how long in the Korean
So I
situation?
was only in maybe another year or a little better. But
Did you come back to Hayes then
yes,
after that?
oh yes, I came right back and went to work.
Signed back on with S&W?
Oh yes. In fact, that's a long story too, because you had to be at a permanent duty station before you could apply for your commission. And so I was San Diego just shy of 90 days when they shipped me to Bremerton, Washington to be on my ship, on the LST. Well, that sucker was going out as we landed, so I was up there for 2 or 3 months while they were on the shakedown and all that kind of stuff. And finally, I flew from there down to San Diego to get on my ship. And we were there for a while, and then we were going down, we ended up going through the Panama Canal. Well, I couldn't make application until we got someplace. And finally it came through. And the skipper mentioned it was going to be, you go ahead, you go back, it'd be a 90-day wonder. And so I looked further down there this time, and it said that you accept this and you have to stay in like 4 or 5 years. I don't remember exactly. And I said to the skipper, if you made me commander of the Navy, I wouldn't stay in that much longer, because my Mrs. Wells was paying me 40 hours a week while I was in the service. So I would come back and go to work.
She wanted to make sure you came back then.
Yes.
And you rose as high as what, sales manager, I believe,
Yes.
S&W Supply. Don holds the platinum membership in the Fort Hays State Alumni Association, received the association's Distinguished Service Award in 1995. Congratulations, too, by the way, on your award, Anita Landrum, for alumni or friends. What does the Alumni Association mean to you, Don?
Well, to be very frank about it, I think it's an exceedingly important part of the city of Hays. And you ask about me and that, I was on the foundation for Fort Hays almost from the beginning, maybe within 2 years or something like that. And I always was a firm believer, you put back in when you take something out. And all our customers were all over western Kansas and the like, and I just felt that I really wanted to be a part, and and I remember when Ed Hammond was hired, Jeter was on the Board of Regents at that time, and I was on...
That'd be Norm Jeter, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And we started the Coalition for Economic Development,
Right.
and my job was to set up and do the things, and out of the country club, we had this company coming in, and of course, down this line was Ed Hammond. And I didn't know him or anything. That's the first time I ever saw him. I shook his hand. And I said, you know, I think I could really like you if you weren't a damn Democrat. He said, I am not. What makes you think I'm a Democrat? I said, you're a school teacher, aren't you? He said, I am an independent. And from that time on, I got to know Ed real well because of the foundation. Mm-hmm. We'd never really raised any money around here, and we were the only school in the conference that didn't have a foundation. Uh-huh. So people always wondered why we couldn't get the good players. We didn't have anything to get them with. And so that's how I headed up some raising mm-hmm. money and stuff like that.
The thing that really helps Fort Hays State.
Well,
Don Bickle. Nita Landrum Award winner for alumni or friends who have provided sustained volunteer service, and boy, we can really say that of Don Bickle, for the betterment of the Alumni Association and, of course, Fort Hays State University and the Tiger family. Don, thanks for the visit.
Thank you.
Our community connection.
By all means, by all means.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hays and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
There's not any words to describe their kindness.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible. Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
They saved my life.
We're in the family room, the Ed Steno conference room of the Robin Center on campus of Fort Hays State University with one of the 2015 Homecoming Distinguished Service Award winner, Lyle Dilley, retired professor of music at Fort Hays State University. Lyle got a Bachelor of Music Education in 1948, a Master of Music Education in 1957, and attended Wichita State University, and then found your way to Hays, Lyle.
Yes.
Tell me about the story of coming to Hays.
Well, the Belle Plaine, where I first started teaching, and my wife also taught there, and Wellington played a big role in preparation to move into the college, university level. And I found out at the outset that you need to have a program that is beneficial to the students, to the community, to the parents, to the administration, and then hopefully they will buy in, and then you begin to see things that need to happen. I know at Belle Plaine there were 90 in the high school and 180 in the grade school. I had attended North High in Wichita, and we had 2,000 students in the 3 upper grades. Well, the fact that Belle Plaine had 90 in the high school helped me develop an appreciation what some of the smaller schools across Kansas, what their students can really accomplish. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just the large universities, because in a lot of the large universities in towns where there's a lot of private teachers, and sometimes in the smaller communities, the director has the responsibility for all the instruction. But anyway, that began to set the stage as far as moving on. And at Wellington, of course, was a larger school. In fact, Wellington and a lot of the schools around Wichita were in competition with North High and East High. East High had 3,300 students at one time. So this sets a stage for the students to have dedication to what they're doing. And the marching and the playing all needed their commitment to individual preparation. And we were playing music in Wellington that some of the universities were playing, and I could have waved pretty pictures with the baton, and it wouldn't have gone very far if those students hadn't taken a feeling of responsibility of preparation.
And at Belle Plaine, you literally taught music from the 1st through the 12th grade. Yes. Also taught some world history and had a study hall as well.
Well, fortunately, the second year I was there, Bonnie and I were married in '49, and they employed her to teach the 1 through 8 in grade school, which she was superb at doing that. But it was something that we sort of became a team, and in Wellington, same thing. And when we came to Hayes, of course, Bonnie was teaching in the elementary schools, but she also did private voice lessons and piano. And so we've been a team for a long time.
And at Fort Hays State, you came 1961, I believe it was, director of bands and instructor of low brass. And during that time, when you came to Fort Hays, we understand that the band grew from 50 members originally to 150 under your directorship.
Eventually, one thing we did in 1962, we started what we called an invitational concert band clinic. And the first year, or I guess the first 3 years, due to limited facilities, we only had 4 bands come in and visit. Now I invited the bands, and each band had a clinic with a well-known conductor. In fact, the first 3 years, Lieutenant Colonel William Sandelman, the Marine Corps director of the Marine Corps Band in Washington, D.C., was our clinician. And that was a great shot for the high school kids. And then each section in the band had a clinic with our faculty. And then we even had Jim Maxwell and Earl Blower and Edwin Moyers helped clinic, what we used to call stage band, and they of course called them jazz ensemble. Anyway, we had that program, went on for 11 years. And I figured that we had 52 bands on the campus in those 11 years. And that would be somewhere around 4,000 band members. Wow. And of course, I couldn't find my program for 72, so there were 6 more bands I didn't count. But anyway, this turned out to be a tremendous opportunity for the bands. We had bands from Shawnee Mission and from Liberal, from North Kansas and South Kansas, and all in between. Each band, the bands got to hear every other band play, and except the band that was getting ready for the next concert. But another second reason I had that we had no state contest for large ensembles in Kansas. And I thought, well, this would give a chance to have a cross-section of the bands. They could hear each other, get an idea how their performances would rate with other bands from other parts of the state. So it worked out very well. And it was, but let me emphasize again, the students bought into this program, and that took another Saturday. We had so many things going on Saturday that the band members were spending a lot of Saturdays right here on the campus. So it's most appreciative that they bought into this program.
Your career, Lyle, included conductor of the Hayes Symphony, also High Plains Band Camp director, 1975, and one of the founding, if not the main impetus for the Hayes Symphony Guild to promote the symphony orchestra.
Reverend Bill Miller and Ken Folsom, Connie Wilson, and a lady from La Crosse, and Ed Moyers joined in on the establishing the formation of the Symphony Guild. And there were 14 or 15 musicians here in Hayes that donated their time and talent to do some big band concerts, fundraising, to help the Guild establish some funds so we could operate. Mm-hmm. And so it has been, I think, a real help to the Symphony Guild. I got the idea years ago, the Wichita Symphony, when they started, the women's organization formed, and they have been tremendous supporter for the Wichita Symphony for years and years and years. And I thought this might do the same thing. I'm sorry, the person I could remember was Bonnie Hempkin.
Ah, yes.
And Bonnie Hempkin played for Malloy when she was just a schoolgirl. And she had been playing for years and years and years. I'm sorry I couldn't get the name to come, but...
Lyle, I need to ask here in our closing couple of minutes of our visit. I always ask music educators this because I'd like to get the word out to parents and to those who are considering music. Why is music education important?
Well, you take, let's say, a fourth grader and talk to them about playing an instrument. And a lot of them get really excited when the flash of the instrument and all that. And they get started and really enthusiastic. And then comes a time when things begin to mellow a little bit. And that's where parents step in and the teacher, in preparation, letting them know, now this is going to maybe happen, but if they continue doing their studying and apply themselves, then they begin to realize, hey, I sound pretty good. And I get to where I sound really good. And they begin to get excited the fact that they're doing something that maybe somebody else can't do as well. And it develops a confidence, it's a confidence builder. And they realize, I had several students say, Mr. Dilley, about contests, I've got to get a 1. I said, no, you don't. The only thing you have to do is do your best. I said, on a given day, I've heard major symphonies not sound so well, and soloists. But you have to expect that that's just growing up. But you've got to just do your best and let people enjoy your music. That's the important thing, that they enjoy what you're doing.
Lyle Dilley, Distinguished Service Award winner, Homecoming 2015. Congratulations on your award, Lyle. Retired professor of music and our community connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
There's not any words to describe their kindness.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible. Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
They saved my life.